Okay, Rihanna, in your own words, explain how the scientific method applies to shooting investigations.
The scientific method is a method of investigation involving experimentation and observation to acquire new knowledge, solve problems, and answer questions. The key steps in the scientific method include making observations, formulating a hypothesis, designing and performing experiments, and accepting or modifying the hypothesis, and then developing it into a law and or a theory. With the scientific method, you can find out where the shooter was standing and what angle he hit the victim. You can figure out what happened in the shooting scene with the scientific method.
Okay. Explain how angle of impact is measured and calculated for a bullet.
The angle of impact is a mechanics concept that defines the acute angle formed by the plane tangent to the ground surface and the tangent to the trajectory. These two are defined in terms of the point of impact of a projectile. In other words, the angle of impact represents the angle formed with the horizontal axis by an object hitting a plane surface. One very useful application is in blood stain pattern analysis, where the angle of impact has to be computed for each blood splatter. And to calculate the angle of impact with the bullet, you can measure it by multiplying y times t equals v times 0 times t minus a half times g times t to the second power.
Thank you, Rihanna. Describe how a revolver works using the proper terminology.
In a modern revolver, cartridges are loaded into 6 chambers, each of which can be positioned in front of the gun's barrel. A spring-loaded hammer is positioned on the other side of the cylinder in line with the barrel. The basic idea of the gun is to cock the hammer back, line up a new cartridge in between the hammer and the barrel, and then release the hammer by pulling a trigger. The spring throws the hammer forward so it hits the primer. The primer explodes, igniting the propellant, which drives the bullet down the barrel. The inside of the barrel is lined with the spiraling grooves, which spin the bullet to give it stability. A longer barrel improves stability since it spins the bullet for longer. Extending the barrel also increases the speed of the bullet since the gas pressure accelerates the bullet for a longer period of time. The trigger lever pushes the hammer backward. As it moves backwards, the hammer compresses a metal spring in the gun stock, the handle, and at the same time a power attached to the trigger pushes on a ratchet to rotate the cylinder. This positions the next breech chamber in front of the gun barrel. Another pole lodges in a small depression on the cylinder. This stops the cylinder in a particular position so it is perfectly aligned with the barrel. When the trigger lever is pushed all the way back, it releases the hammer. The compressed spring drives the hammer forward. The firing pin on the hammer extends through the body of the gun and hits the primer. The primer explodes, igniting the propellant. The propellant burns, releasing a large volume of gas. The gas pressure drives the bullet down the barrel. The gas pressure also causes the cartridge case to expand, temporarily sealing the breech. All of the expanding gases pushes forward rather than backward. To reload the gun, the shooter swings the cylinder out and pushes on the ejector rod to operate the extractor in the middle of the cylinder. The extractor grabs the base of the spent shells and removes them from the cylinders. To reload, the shooter can place the individual cartridges into the chambers or load 6 at once with a speed loader, basically a small metal holder with cartridges secured in the right position.
Okay. Describe how to determine if a shell casing or bullet came from a specific weapon.
Each time a bullet is fired through the barrel of a gun, like the Colt Python, it becomes imprinted with grooves and microscopic imperfections. The markings is specific to a gun as a fingerprints to a person.
Okay. Explain the differences between internal, external, and terminal ballistics.
The study of ballistics has opened the door of opportunities for forensics in respect of determining the weapons used in heinous crimes like murder. The science of weapons, especially of projectiles or firearms ballistics, is also an effective means of determining the impact of a bullet or any other projectile that have been shot using firearms. The science has made it possible for investigators to solve complicated criminal cases in comparatively easier manner. Ballistics have been divided into 3 categories: internal ballistics, external ballistics, and terminal ballistics, and all these 3 categories have contributed to the enhancement of the process of crime investigation. Internal ballistics is the study of what happens within the barrel of a weapon from the moment the firing pin hits the primer to the time the bullet exits from the barrel. Internal ballistics is concerned with phenomena like firing and rifling, etc. And it refers to the study of movement of a projectile and its flight within a firearm. Unlike internal ballistics, external ballistics deals with the movement behavior of bullets from the point of departure from the muzzle of a firearm to the point of striking a particular target. Terminal ballistics, on the other hand, studies the impact of a projectile on a particular target, and the primary job of the experts in the course in this analysis is to analyze factors like energy, penetration, and expansion.
Okay, thank you very much, Rihanna.
Thank you, Your Honor.